up, guys? This is a Case for Pace. Back in, we're going to be doing a year in review series of all 30 teams as the season comes to an end. And we're going to start off with the worst. And we're going to be talking about Philadelphia 76ers.
One of the worst all time, in fact.
Yeah, it's been a really roller coaster season for them, and it's been pretty much all downhill, I'd say.
Well, I don't know how much of a roller coaster it is. I think it's just straight nosedive down
Nosedive, yeah. I would put it that way. But good news, we just looked on ESPN, and the newest owner...
Not the new owner, the new GM.
New GM, yeah. Has made an announcement that he plans to keep Brett Brown, and we think this is a good decision.
Fantastic move
for their future, honestly.
I couldn't agree more. Brett Brown is one of the premier coaches in the league, and he's one of the best teaching coaches. He really gets his guys to play hard. They play physical, they play tough, and you have to earn your spot on that roster.
You really do.
It's been a tough year. Let's put it frankly. It's been a disastrous year for the 76ers.
I mean, when you have 10 wins,
yeah,
it can only go up from there.
Really,
and you know what? I'm seeing good signs from players like Jeremy Grant.
Yeah. Well, actually, when it was funny because I was like, you need to watch this kid. This kid's a lot of fun, and he plays hard and he's really aggressive. And I was telling you about this in the Indiana game, and you're like, oh my god,
who the heck is Jeremy Grant?
I like this guy.
Yeah. And as soon as I start watching this guy,
you're like,
this guy's really good.
You're like, oh. Okay.
So I think they do have a bright future. I mean,
they definitely got a lot of good young pieces. Yeah.
I mean, Okafor is going to be a really solid start.
Averaging 17.5 points per game and about 8 boards.
Until they shut him down, yeah.
Yeah, with his knee.
And what's it? Nerlens Noel.
Yeah, Noel's been
extremely
interesting. Good. He's an interesting player. He fills up every facet of the game. He brings something to it. He's a pretty good finisher around the rim. He's a good shot blocker. He leads the team in steals with 1.7 steals a game as your 5-man, 6'10" guy out there.
He's basically almost like a smaller, more leaner, I would say Boogie Cousins almost.
I don't know about.
But he fills that. You know what? On the defensive end of the ball, he's very balanced. Though
I'd say he's almost a bit more like Willie Cauley-Stein if you wanted to.
Yeah, you know what? I could definitely see
a comparison to that. Willie Cauley-Stein's obviously younger.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're about the same age. But they bring the same thing to the game. They block, they steal, they get out and run, and they're very athletic. And they're physical, but Nerlens Noel also has a little bit of a jump shot to his game as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, the biggest thing with Noel, he's got to put on weight. He's got to get a little bit bigger, and he needs to just stay out of injuries.
But that jump shot is something that he definitely improved on this past year. He can definitely use as a weapon in the future.
Absolutely, and he's leading the team in rebounds, 8.1. So he's kind of a Swiss Army knife. He does just about every little thing that the Sixers would need, and he's been pretty consistent this year.
Yeah.
So he's definitely been big. Now the big piece out of all these pieces that have come over, the biggest one has to be the play of Ish Smith. That kid came from undrafted. I'm pretty sure he was an undrafted player when he came out of Wake Forest about 5-6 years ago, and then since then he's made it onto a roster. From Phoenix. He was playing with Phoenix, and then he went to the Pelicans, the injury-strapped Pelicans. He was getting a fantastic opportunity there in New Orleans, and then the Sixers get him for a couple of second-round picks. It was fantastic GM work there, and they brought a guy who's averaging about 7 assists per game. And his turnovers, he's at 2 turnovers but 7 assists. So his assist to turnover ratio is very good. Unlike this team,
on a team that turns it over way too much.
Yeah, on a team that has a less than a 2-to-1 turnover ratio.
I'm gonna say, this is a guy you can definitely rely on for the future. If you want this guy as your point guard.
And he's so fast.
He is.
Oh man, he's fast. But I mean, looking down the entire roster, they've got young pieces that they can work with. I mean, Robert Covington was one of the biggest surprises last year, coming out and scoring like 14 points a game. after being a top D-League guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he was the number 1 overall pick 2 seasons ago in the D-League because they have a little fantasy draft, I think, in the D-League for unsigned players.
I think if there's 4 players, if I'm looking at this list, that you absolutely need to keep around because you can expect in the future.
Well, I'd say probably 5. I'd say probably 5.
My 4 would be Okafor, Ish Smith. You got to keep Noel.
Yeah.
And you got to keep Jeremy Grant. Who's your 5th player then?
I'd say Robert Covington, honestly.
Okay. Why not Isaiah Cannon though?
Isaiah Cannon, I don't know.
I mean,
he's very streaky.
Yeah, I mean it fits his last name.
No, he's a
cannon.
Yeah, he's kind of a loose cannon to be what is that, punny when you do
yeah,
that?
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
Make a
because it's spelled differently. But spelled with 2 A's. Interesting. But he's the kid out of Murray State that came out, well, I think it was about 4 years ago. He's drafted by Houston. But man, he's very streaky. I saw a couple of games where he shot like 15 threes or something like that in one game. It was like, come on, JR, don't be shooting like that.
Yeah.
but I mean, up and down this lineup, you've got young pieces like I do like Carl Landry. He's kind of a stabilizing figure on that team. But Christian Wood, he was a great shot blocker coming out of where exactly did he go to school again? Yes, he was a UNLV guy. He was a great shot blocker. Nick Stauskas, he's just a shooter, man. He shoots. He does a lot of supplementary things. TJ McConnell is just kind of a grinder. He's a workhorse. You just go up and down, and if Joel Embiid can ever get it figured out, I mean, he's 7 feet tall and he's 250
We talked about this earlier.
We did.
In another segment, a previous segment.
Mm-hmm.
This is his 2nd year being injured, if I'm not mistaken.
It is, yeah.
You don't really hear anything about him, like even coming close to coming back.
Right.
How much of that is just sheer will at that point?
Well, I mean, it was a tough injury. Like that's the one thing, you never know how you're gonna heal from an injury like a foot injury, because it took Kevin Durant a stabilized figure an entire year to recover, and he's still not. I still don't feel like he's 100%.
No, he's not nearly.
He's playing about 80-90% of himself, which is still MVP character.
Oh, it really is, yeah.
But it's just not a level of elite yet that we saw before he got hurt. But I mean, honestly, looking up and down this roster, there's no reason to tell me. And with all the draft picks that they're having this year, with all of the potential,
how many do they have in the first round again?
I think they have. They're not going to get the Lakers one unless they fall out. Unless the Lakers have a catastrophic failure and fall out of the top 3, they're not going to get a top 5. But I think they should have a couple later, and then I think they have a couple second round picks that they're working with.
And this is you guys probably know that draft works off of odds. It's not about from best to worst,
right?
Which
it's just percentages.
Yeah,
really.
And, you would think that it would be percentages, but I mean it'd be from best to worst. But we got working off of odds, and
right.
You know what? I mean the 76ers are going to finish the season. They're going to have, I think, pre-calculated a 22. I think it was 22% chance to get the number 1 overall pick.
I think they will. I think they will. And you know what? I wanna ask you this question because I think it's an interesting question to ask you. Now, looking at this entire roster, the one spot that they're missing is a 2 guard. I think that they should draft that really impressive kid from Duke. God, I can't believe I went on air and forgot his name again. I keep doing this because I've told you about this kid 100 times, and I told you his name 100 times, and I keep forgetting it about 100 times. But no, this Brandon Ingram. This kid is probably the guy that I would absolutely 100% go with. And I can't believe I forgot his name again. I'm sorry, man. I just keep doing this. This is like the 6th time I've forgotten his dang name. But I tell you, that kid has the most potential. I feel like with his length, being 6'9".
You know what? he comes off as like a raw type of player, but
Maybe.
but he showed a lot of signs of like maturity in his game this year. There were flashes of
Yeah.
that, but then there's times he's probably gonna have a lot of rookie-esque moments.
Well, but I mean,
But you
this
know what?
entire team is perfect for that.
Yeah.
Though. And in the direction that they're going, they could easily get another kid that can put up 17 or 18 points per game in his rookie season. You put that with Okafor, who's getting probably 20 next year. Noel, who's probably averaging 15. You've got Ish Smith, who's averaging about 15 and 8 assists. You've probably got 60 points out of your starting lineup right there. I mean, that is very good. And all of a sudden, and if you get a little bit of a bench and you just keep working these D-League guys and just keep building up your core, sooner or later you're going to have to get better. And I think Ingram has the biggest potential on this team.
I think so too.
They're bringing over another really good international player, Dario Saric. Fantastic. I hear he's the best international player playing in the game of basketball today.
Now, I think if you know what, they will end up with a top 3 pick.
Yeah, definitely.
I think
they definitely will.
your main concern, if you're the Philadelphia 76ers, you're dead last in scoring and you're dead last in turnovers.
Absolutely.
You need, first of all, it's a matter of maturity with the ball.
Yeah.
All these guys are extremely young. They're going to turn the ball over a lot. So that will get better with time.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like when you're in this drafting process, since they do have so many picks, they have to go after not only a scorer, but they got to go after a guy that can take care of the ball and has ball maturity for his age.
I really do think that Ingram is the best with this. I don't want them to go out and get Ben Simmons and then realize, okay, this guy is 2 in between. He's got to pick a position. We have to force him to pick a position here. And he has to go and develop. He's going to turn the ball over a lot because he's in between positions. Why not get a shooter? Why not just get a flat scorer like Ingram and build off of that? Because you can build so much easier.
Why not Buddy Hield then?
But I mean, Ingram just has the length. I mean, look, Buddy Hield is not a top 2, okay? It's the potential factor. Buddy Hield is too old at this point. And Ingram has the potential to do everything.
Okay.
I mean, he's got so much more potential. Buddy Hield is a shooter. And he will be a shooter. And there's a 50-50 shot he's not going to make it. I mean, I have every faith in the world that he will. But Ingram has such a unique and dynamic skill set that he has to be a top 2. It's either him or Simmons, and I outright believe this is the position. This is the position that they need. And this is the position that will get the job done. Duke product, man, he's the safe bet, and he's a great scorer. He fills the void. It's just perfect. Really.
It's crazy to think when we're talking about Ben Simmons that a number 1 overall pick is a project.
It really is.
That's absurd. The last one that comes to mind is Anthony Bennett. But he never should have been a number
That
was a fluke number 1 pick, and we all know.
Well, that was just a horrid draft. I mean, Oladipo went 2nd, and I mean, besides the fact that we love Oladipo, he's not
number 1 overall pick.
I mean, he's up there with C.J. McCollum type, Damian Lillard down there with those guys at that like the 10 spot. Cody Zeller, I think, was 4th. That's wild too, because he wasn't an crazy athletic. He didn't really have a jump shot coming in. There's no reason that he was a 4. That was just a bad draft class altogether.
It was.
But the last time, I honestly can't remember the last time a number 1 pick was a project.
And that's, this is what Philly doesn't need at this point. They need development.
Absolutely.
You can't develop if you keep bringing in players that are just projects all the time.
And you know what? Ben Simmons will get destroyed in this game because he's not specialized enough. He just wants to do too many things. Look, you have to simplify and you have to make your game as light as possible.
If you think about it, for what a project that Philly is,
yeah,
they have they have players that do their role. You know,
Absolutely.
they don't have a guy like Ben Simmons who can do it all.
Right.
But you know what? I think if you're trying to rebuild like they are,
Mhm.
you need players that got to know their role
You
and
need a
want.
sure thing.
Yeah,
And that's your best bet. Ingram is as sure of a thing as you can get. Now I could see a guy like Ben Simmons going to somewhere like Phoenix, where they're just gonna blow their entire operation up. They've got the room for it. But here you've already got a loaded front court as it is. If Embiid comes back, you're probably gonna have to trade one of these guys.
Yeah.
As it is, you don't want another front court member, especially if you re-sign Carl Landry and keep Landry around. You've already got 4 or 5 bigs here as it is. You want another wing player. They don't have a 2 guard that they're playing with. So Ingram can come in, play the 2, shoot the basketball, which is what he was born to do. And he's so long, he's got so much potential. And playing in this system would really help him. And he will get his opportunities.
I think Brett Brown's
in
the
Philly.
perfect coach to do it too.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
He's
You
taking
have to earn your spot.
He's taking
here
all
in
those
Philly.
players under his belt, really.
Absolutely, they played really hard for Brett Brown, man. I tell you.
I think looking into next year, if they do go after a guy like Brandon Ingram, I think they could break 20 wins. I mean,
think so, too.
they have to at this point.
Yeah, definitely.
They have too much talent to be below 20.
And honestly,
20
I think they could make a trade here too. I think they
They
could
have
make
a
a
lot
trade. They could
yeah.
go and get a couple of half decent free agents out there on the market. They've got the money to overpay just about the entire league at this point. They can go out and get a free agent. They can go out and get, they can go and trade a couple of these assets. They could trade somebody like Carl Landry or Isaiah Cannon. They can bring back some value. It's time to stop trading for draft picks and start trading for talent that will help you win basketball games.
I think they already have a couple of those types of players
I
like
do
we
too.
mentioned earlier.
I do too.
They just need to keep building on
Yep.
that.
They need to move forward here. But I feel like they're moving in the right direction. They're playing hard, and they will begin to get back to that level of Doug Collins back in 2012, where he left this team, right before the Brett Brown era. He set this team in the right direction, and I feel like that is exactly where Philadelphia's headed. They're headed right back towards this excellence that we saw.
I agree, man. All right, guys, that's it for Philly, and this is a Case for Pace. Follow and subscribe on YouTube, and we'll be back with more videos.
Definitely appreciate you guys.